Thank you for checking in. It's Glenn Lyvers with some of my favorite poets here for the June 2025 poetry reading. Thanks everybody for checking in. I'm going to kick things off with a really quick piece that I did some years ago called 50 Years with Grace, and then we'll go forward. So this one was an oldie but a goodie from my website, glenlyvers.com. 50 Years with Grace. Grandma's eulogy was the naked truth. In church, no less, Charles told it all. How he met her during the Palm Sunday tornadoes, right there in the third pew, soaked in her too thin spring dress, thighs pale, panties the color of plum butter, sparking fugitive notions between prayers. To hear him tell it, they were greedy magpies stealing glimpses of each other as the storm boiled over the ridgeline, confining them to each other's embrace for 50 years. They were both contented, birds in a cage with an open door, watching a blurring thresher harvest thousands of days while Grandma remained timeless, forever 17 in the third pew, peaceful now as a sleeping honeybee in amber. The choir rose, singing hallelujah, as Charles dipped his hand into the water, made the sign of the cross, put on his black derby, and walked out into a hot August downpour, heat lightning, and potato juice rain. All right. Back to the point. All right, there we go. On to Bob Moreland, please.
Well, I'm Bob Moreland. I'm coming to you from Carroll Beach in Pleasant Prairie. And the world is a crazy place right now. So I first want to say what an honor and joy it has been to share poetry with you all and just have a meeting of souls and bear ourselves. It's so hard to read your own poetry because you're basically naked emotionally in front of the whole world. So I'm not sure how many we are up for today, Glenn. Is it two or three?
Yep, you can squeeze three of them out. We have a smaller group today, if you like.
Okay. So, uh, for starters, I love baseball. It is baseball season in the height, and I have read this before, but I decided today, with everything in the world, I'm staying with uplifting, primarily at the suggestion of my lovely wife, who thinks a lot of what I write is too dark. Okay, you've heard this before. Hopefully, you'll enjoy it again. League of Her Own. Every day is opening day. All new like the smell of your left handed glove. Softball brings the 9-year-old gleam anew. Passion gone wild. Second chances for love. Line up complete. You step up to the plate, stare down the poor pitcher, give her a wink. Then you bite your tongue as you concentrate. Wind up comes flying. White stitch clincher sinks. Connect with the crack of an ashbone bat with the gusto of a roof. The ball sails true beyond the left field fence. You tip your hat. I told you so, with an expletive or two. My Chicago born wife, all fun, no fret. We have our World Series with no regrets. Thank you.
Love that.
And my lovely wife played 16-inch softball in Chicago. It is very different than most ball because there is no glove. She was a catcher for 15 years. I do not argue. I do not win. All right. And I'm hearing her in the background. Hopefully you didn't hear that. Okay. And I think again, as we face the things we face these days, poetry really brings out the soul of our hearts. This is called enough. When life stresses come, the immediate replacing the important, I want to take you to the Great Lake at sunset. Pinkness fading to dusky twilight with the innocence of that first star appearing hesitant, then bright. I would be so alone without you here. Your stubborn intelligence, a playground sense of justice, assuring me, regardless, that it'll be all right. In the stillness, with the waves lapping the shore, I'd take your hand, embrace, and watch the evening constellations pepper the sky, our known universe only as far as we can see. How hard it is to believe in things unseen, but I know your love and your loyalty. I do not have any of the answers to so many questions, but in the darkness, your warmth next to me is enough. Thank you. And baseball. Yes, the Cubbies. Oh dear. And Philly probably gives you heartbreak, Glenn. My boss is a Philly fan. Last, I have one that is baseball related. It's called Go the Distance. I think all of us are old enough to have seen this movie, or at least you saw it on cable. Sometimes, in the quiet recesses of my mind, I hear the still voice of God as he romances my heart with those dreams I dare to touch, reach. For he longs for me to know those few good and endearing qualities that made in his image make me like him. Abba, Father, Holy God. How could I understand what a real father is, mine distant, failing to connect that sacred bond? Caught unaware, saw field of dreams. Why is it every time I watch Ray finally meet his dad, catch a good game, and introduces his family, I begin to choke up? Is it heaven? No, it's Iowa. Why is it that as we see the tears form in the corner of our manly eyes, would you like to have a catch, Dad? Perhaps as the last French horns echo and the credits roll, we all feel his pain. We go the distance, and we hope that if we build it, he will come. Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you. That was really nice. All right. Please try to introduce yourselves and where you're from for the viewers. Let's move on to James Bethel, please.
Oh, I was waiting on Gloria. Okay, everyone. I am James Allen Bethel, and I live in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I have a brief bit of self-promotion to do here ahead of the read. I have a website blog that some of you may get curious about. Um, it's a freebie, and you can find it at several ways. JamesAllenBethel.com, that's one way, or you can Google the mailbox on Watercourse Way. That is the landing page for the website. And it's dedicated to creatives of all stripes uh, and forms. And so you may be interested in some of that. Some of my poetry occasionally shows up there while I wait for Trevena Barba Press to reach a launch date for a collection that I have there. That said, I have three relatively short pieces today, two free verse and one haiku. The first one is entitled Another Introduction to Poetry. Forever, it seems, I have felt contrary, out of sync of sorts. Like I couldn't read the blackboard and wasn't diagnosed myopic until I was 13. But by then I had decided the world was neither round nor flat. So it is with this summer solstice heat. 101 degrees in June, for Christ's sake. And I'm feeling every symptom of seasonal affective disorder, usually reserved or associated with winter. I'm procrastinating, is the point. I've written 45 poems since January, and this is the first time since April. Truly, it is sad that this is supposed to be another introduction to poetry. The hopefuls, having left already with the suffocating heat as an excuse for their boredom after discovering that my poetry is mainly talking to myself, which, as it turns out, is also sad, if not overheated. And this one follows the day into the night. It's prompted by a Jim Harrison piece. This is entitled Night Journal. Tonight, writing haiku about sheets and clouds. For the moment, floating summer sheets, bedtime ritual return, Sils Maria clouds. It's 10 p.m. and my teenage neighbor, who somehow reminds me of Maria, is plinking on a guitar while singing a wordless, at least at the moment anyway, song to her dog, Sadie. Sadie is now barking at a night walker, while my Maria seems to have found words too far away for me to discern beyond the sadness of a teen feminine angst. It's a warm night after a hot day. More of the same to come, like a repetitive chorus, like the return of the clouds of Sils Maria, but nowhere near as cool. And this last one is a haiku entitled Nothing, Nothing, might as well be. Nearing August. Record hot, breezeless, humid Saturday morning. Distant train horn blows. Confused dove from the phone line calls and calls again. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you a lot.
Thank you very much. All right. That's a hard act to follow. Good luck, Lynette. Lynette Esposito's up next.
Oh, yeah.
There
All
you
right,
are.
can you hear me? Here I
Sure
am.
can. Mhm.
I forgot the prompt, but I have a poem with the word warm in it. So it might qualify. And it is hot here too. Not as hot as Oklahoma, but it's New Jersey and it's humid. All right, are you ready? Here I go. The night blankets without warmth the darkness, quilts the air with diamond hot stars, far, far higher than I can reach to soothe my chilled bones. I think we bury bones in the dirt with grains of sand and mustard seed to keep them warm. It is a fantasy that bones need warmth. If they did, they would grow and puncture the earthly pall to reach the sky. Maybe the stars are bone tips poking through the dark from another place we do not know. I wish on them. I wish I am not just looking at remnants of ancestors scattered in a galaxy graveyard. And that's it. And poem number 2. I am laying in a late summer cornfield eating stars, wondering how to swallow the universe. My mouth is open as wide as I can get it. I am bitten by jiggers from the damp ground that holds me in its grasp like a loving mother, but isn't. I am earthbound, and yet through the winged stalks, I can see the stars. And then I have a third one that's a little different from the star thing. Uninvited friends. Like black shadows marching toward the freshly roasted sweet corn, ants make a line like a single black pencil mark across the picnic table, set by mother for her family and friends. And that's it.
That was great. Thank you so much. All right, let's move on to our friend Gloria.
Mute. Hi, everyone. I'm Gloria from the Hudson Valley, New York. And yep, it was 106 here this week, but today I don't know what it is. Anyway, I decided to take the prompt, which I think was something about warm or heating up or something like that. Anyway, we're still working on this. It's called Strikeout. I cleaned out the attic where the buried reside. What poignant memories can surface in old moth-eaten boxes? Barbie's dream house filled with Barbies and one Ken, naked, tossed together, hair wild. Spydor from the Masters of the Universe collection. Inside it, 6D batteries, which were impossible to remove, their crusty acid adhering to the casing. That rusted wire freight toaster that you brought home to me ceremoniously from your mother's when you cleaned out her apartment for the last time. An unmarked small Rubbermaid container. I opened the lid to find matchboxes. You had collected them right from the beginning. Our first date at the Asian restaurant, where I was still feeling the effects of the dysentery I had contracted from living in Mexico. On the way out, you grabbed a matchbox that had a black dragon on its cover. Foreshadowing. Wedding favors, the date and our names etched in gold. A box with "It's a Boy" on the top in blue. You handed them out with cheap cigars, as I recall. The beautiful matchbox from the Caterina de' Medici room at the Hotel Frontenac. You took that one in jealousy because the attentive waiter had used his gold lighter to light my cigarette before you had the chance to do so. Always, everywhere, every time, you would take a matchbox and say you were going to do this or that with all of them. Someday. I began to take each box one by one and strike a match, watch it burn down, and do it again and again and again. I left the dragon for last, as your voice resounded in my head over and over. You're getting fired up about nothing. I lit the match from the dragon box, watched it as it burned down until it was ash, the smell of sulfur lingering, your words dissolving. Fired up? No, babe, I'm just getting started. Thank you. And that's it.
Okay, thanks a lot. You know, I just love that. Yeah, I've been thinking about this concept for a poem recently because my neighbor girl that lives next door to us. She has 4 boys, and they're just little. And right up abutting my fence line on her side of the fence, they have a sandbox. And there are all kinds of things in the sandbox. There are dinosaurs and and all kinds of toys and things. And I keep finding, you know, things on my side of the fence that are trying to escape from these little boys, I think. And it's just kind of wonderful. And I accidentally decapitated one of their toys the other day with my lawnmower, which I didn't mean to do. And I had to go over and confess that I've been bad, you know. In any event, when last week we were sort of kicking around this ekphrastic idea, and I thought, well, what a wonderful idea to take a picture of this mayhem and chaos of the sandbox when the boys are gone, because it's sometimes hilarious, the things that you kind of, the stories you must imagine that they're creating with these creatures and things. And it brings back old times when we used to play outside. And I won't divert too much, but I just saw this funny reel on Instagram about this guy saying, I don't know what to do with, he's yelling at his son. He says, I don't know what to do with you. When I was a kid, when I got punished, my parents would say, you have to stay inside the house, but I can't get you to go outside. None of the kids want to go outside. It's just silliness. All right. I'm sorry. Peter King.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well.
Great, because my video was glitching earlier, but I think I've managed to sort it out. I didn't know about the prompt. I missed last month, couldn't find it anywhere. So I chose some poems which turn out to be almost exactly the opposite. As you'll see, they're from a series that I think I've read from before, Last Words. Here we are. Does that come up okay? Yeah, good. The last words of various famous people. I don't think I've read these before, so we'll see. The first one is Karl Marx. I won't do any of the accents, tempting though it is. The last words, by the way, is the first line, which is in italics for each of them. Last words are for fools who haven't said enough. Scheiße. Now the idiot will say that those were my last words. But so they are. Perhaps I haven't said enough. Perhaps I'm a fool. I'm shackled to this life by chains that pass from lungs to chair. I long to lose them, whether it's to leap up, vitality restored, or leave this heavy and congested frame for friends to find and bury in the heavy London clay, and mourn, maybe. And though I try to end my days with visions of a better future softening my fear, all I see is snow and blood, is blood upon the snow. Now slightly different, Gertrude Stein. What is the answer? No one speaks. A blue bottle bats against the closed window's unkind glass, buzzing frustration. In that case, what is the question? No one speaks. The blue bottle batters at the bedside lamp, raising hot dust, then settles on the browning flesh of a cut apple in a saucer. Someone opens the window. Someone swats at the fly. Someone dies, unnoticed at first. Someone weeps. I should probably have had a third one, which was a bit more upbeat, but I don't have one ready, so sorry, it's another last word. From more than one person, I've chosen George Floyd and Eric Garner as representatives. I can't breathe. The weight of centuries kneels heavy on my neck. The weight of manacles, of overseers' whips, of hempen rope, of crosses burning in the hooded night bears down on me, yet urges me to rise, to free myself from history, to rip the mask of hatred from the face of fear. But I can't breathe.
Thank you. Suddenly, I want to go grab Tolstoy off of the shelf, you know? All right, right? James knows what I'm talking about. All right. Peter, did you have something to say? Or you just give me the high sign? Okay, great. All right, Robert Whalen. Hey, Robert.
All right. Um, I've had an interesting 6 months. Sorry, I haven't been here lately. Missed the prompt, but I've got a couple here. I'm in Rockport, Massachusetts. Today, thank God it's raining. I had an interesting ride to teach my class on Friday, and it was about 102, and my car is black, no air conditioning. That aside, Inner Harbor. Boats float in the harbor like notes in an improvisation, moored by a melody, more remembered than apparent, moved by a pattern of waves, constructed through the convergence of the ripples of raindrops, their impacts providing the percussion with the deeper rhythm of tides. There is no randomness when the eye of the seabird meets the eye of the fish as seen by the sailor while standing in the rain on a boat in a harbor. Thank you. And I got a couple here. Let me, I'm sorry to hold you up. I'm trying to make this work. Okay. Can't do it. I'll stick with the book. Here's one. I live in an old Greek revival, is what they're called around here, built just about the time of the um, uh, Civil War. And this one is called Greek Revival. I love old houses. They have a certain comfort, like a warm bed on a morning without alarm. Their sense of endurance. Holding the lines of my childhood, their familiar proportions say things last. They were before you and will remain after. Walls of cracked plaster, often a sense of patience. How many voices have been heard? What joys and aches witnessed in their containment? Toys and running children, old men inching up the stairs, young women smiling coyly, futures dreamt, pasts forgotten, wooden floors worn by worried pacing. Outside my window with rippling glass panes melting from gravity at a pace as slow as glaciers, I gaze into streets where once was a rolling field with grazing deer that had never seen a man. And I'll do a short one. Beach triolet. Waves unfurl from foam to glass. Ripples vibrate green to blue. Sands accept their soft trespass. Waves unfurl from foam to glass. All the stars beach grains surpass. Atoms in each grain do too. Waves unfurl from foam to glass. Ripples vibrate green to blue. Thank you.
Oh, you really nailed the cadence on that. So well done. Appreciate that one. All right. I had to think about if I had any poems with some heat in them. So I'm going to read one more, and then we're going to move on to Mary Gunn, and then Peter Yaremko has poems today, and Doug, Jim, and Debbie Walker last. And I haven't read this poem for a long time. I wrote it back in 2011 or something. It was the winner of a Indiana poetry contest, and one of the really cool things about it is that it was inspired by diaries that I had been reading. So I wrote it as diary entries, which was quite a lot of fun for me to indulge in. I think maybe some years back you guys might have heard this one before, but I'm going to read it again because I never get to read it. This is called 1850 Rising. And it's the enjambments that really make this work, so I'm going to share the screen. Chapter 1 here. She took the bull, the breeder, our entire future down the dark trail. There was no discussion about mother, about the guilty footprints to the butcher. Father lay dying over grandma's white linens until he wasn't anymore. Suddenly, Stu. In chapter 2, she wore her dress, Sunday's church, wading in the river, watching the men on the bank, silently fishing. Chapter 3. She gathered eggs in the morning, warm for cooking, scrambled over medium, hard, poached, standing at the stove, radiating heat, humming hymns to herself. Chapter 4. A winter of lead. Heavy Protestant rafters, silent, cold, reverent, tombstone cold. Mother burned the barn and the stove. Chapter 5. The fat summer Grace died. Blackberries and grapes, beer and moonshine, chickens and rabbits, cooking all day dirty plates, all day turning spits, all the angry ovens. Chapter 6. Fireflies brought recurring dreams of father, father stirring dazzling embers, father surrounded by Edison bulbs, father snuffing altar candles, father swatting burning bees, father swinging lanterns in the yard, fireflies. Chapter 7. I saw Uncle Robert from Colorado rise with a full team of horses, rise like the cedars do over the hill until he too floated in between the hill and the clouds. Robert from the mountains stepped down to straighten an injured fence post, and then he drove the jingling team across the river to the porch. He settled in. Chapter 8. Sister Edith converted again. Sunday church with mother, wading in the river, dresses clinging like church bells. Sister Edith rang, at last, no longer silent. $5 for wedding invitations. Cordially, Robert and Edith. Chapter 9. Mother lived 9 more summers by the river. Near the end, she was watched over by young boys, reverent boys, sons of Edith, who taught her again to pick a flat rock, to hold it sideways, to throw it in that familiar way over water and water. Chapter 10. Mother died in the shadow of the new barn, where she could hear young boys laughing, up the ladder, falling, up the ladder, falling, into the yellow hay below. Chapter 11. It rained the day we tried to bury Mother, the great pouring of 1850. It was the kneeling river, drumming, sobbing, swelling up all at once, rising up like choir voices, singing loudly, Hallelujah, taking Mother away in a tiny wooden boat. Okay, Mary Gunn, please. Thank you. Are you with us, Mary? She might have stepped away for a moment.
Hello.
There she is. Yay, there you are.
Okay, thanks, Glenn. This is Mary Gunn in Ireland. I didn't know you had a prompt today, so I've just got one very short Senru for you. Father's Day has just gone by in Ireland, so this is one that I wrote in advance of that. Dad's tool shed, full of things that might be useful. Rainy day. And I'll read that again. Dad's tool shed, full of things that might be useful. Rainy day.
Very nice. Thank you for that.
I just wanted to say I enjoyed listening to all those nice poems that were read earlier on.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've got a really good group here. Everybody's been very strong today for sure. Peter Uremko, please.
Okay. I don't know what happened before I tried to unmute and something went screwy, so I'm here. It's Peter Uremko. I live in New Haven. I've got 3 poems. I only had 2, but then when I heard about the prompt, I do have a summer poem. It's called Pretty Rich Girls, which is going to appear in the summer issue of Portrait of New England Literary Magazine. Hip to bikinied hip, they recline on cooling sand, hoping, these pretty rich girls, for a pretty sunset, which won't happen today because the sky has turned to clotted cream. They talk of boys mostly, of he saids and she saids, except they're making it up, playing at dolls still. But they're young and life is fine and they don't worry about a thing. And this is a new one that I wrote after I had a tooth removed. I call it The Extraction. They stride into the operatory, anonymous in their homogeneous scrubs, countenances shielded by dental loops and N95s. You know full well why they're there, to strip you of a body part you've grown more intimate with than your genitalia. They euphemize their savagery by naming it extraction. They lack even the human decency to refer to your tooth as a molar. To them, it's just mandibular number 3. You taste the gush of blood, and he murmurs, "It's out," as if the tooth were some parasite invasively domiciled in your oral dome. Lo, these many decades. Behind you as you lie prone, you know he's dropping your lifeless tooth into its little body bag. First step in its exile to the city landfill, where it will rest among disposable diapers, empty toothpaste tubes, and decomposing maxi pads. Why do they never ask if you'd like to take the tooth home with you? It's only a tooth, they say, not like it's important, not like a kidney or a pancreas. But you would have worn it on a chain round your neck like a dragon slayer.
That's great.
And the final one is titled Jewelry Box. Jewelry box, that's what she called it, her jewelry box. Mahogany with hinges and a lock of brass and a tiny, shiny key. We'd sat cross-legged while she lifted each piece to say its story. On the underside of the lid was a mirror, so I could see myself try on her necklaces. It was my favorite thing to do on a rainy day when I couldn't go out to play. I'm grown now and she's gone. On rainy days when I feel down, I mope my way to the closet shelf and open the jewelry box where Mom fits so compactly, looking at herself in the mirror, and I say my story. Thank you.
He sits so compact. There's something about that hit me. Um, Doug Van Hooser, please.
Hi, everybody. I'm on Whitewater Lake in Wisconsin. To be a little shameless, if you are currently in the Chicago area, I have a new play that's called The New Beginning that's playing at the Theater of Western Springs. Go see it. So on to the poetry. And let me see if I can screen share. Oh, that didn't work.
It's working. It's just takes a second sometimes.
Are the poems up?
Not quite yet, no.
All right, let me. Uh, well, I apologize. Everything's disappeared here on my screen for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you what, Glenn, go on. For some reason, I've lost everything. Let me see if I can get it back.
Okay, you take a minute. We'll just get Jim Bronson in. Is Jim still here? Oh, doesn't look like it. Okay. Debbie Walker Lass.
Okay, I'm going to attempt. Oh, I'm Debbie Walker Lass from North Decatur, Georgia, just north of Atlanta. And I just got back from Savannah, and you talk about how, oh my goodness, it feels it feels so much better here. Not that it feels great here, but it was very hot. The humidity was about 83% at 96 degrees, so it was warm. Okay, I'm going to attempt a screen share. I just hit the share, right, Glenn?
Push the green button, select the window you want to share, usually.
Okay. Can y'all see it or no?
Not just yet. So when you click the share button, you should see a window pop up and it should have a little list of your application windows, and then you're gonna click whichever one has the item in it that you want to share. if you don't have your poem open in another window already, to open it first and then try to screen. There, something's happening.
Happen?
It says it started. I can't see it.
Yes, it is, but
Yep, I see your Zoom window now. Switch tabs. Okay, there you go.
is it there?
I'm seeing the ekphrastic review.
Yes. I finally, all the way from last time to now, I finally got this up so I can read this little cento that appeared in the ekphrastic review. This was a kind of an interesting portrait. This lady, this artist, does photographs of herself with these strange things. And anyway, I wrote my response to it is Weary Angel Cento. So I've been writing centos lately, and this is one of them. Because women are required to carry enough things as it is, there's little to bear but the things I bore. I'm tired of work, tired of building up. I take off my skin, hang it up. There's nothing to carry and not to add. Short. And that was Alice, Dora Miller, Dorothy Parker, Fenton Johnson, and Angela Jackson. So I wanted to give the poets credit.
Just to clarify, if anybody doesn't know, the cento poem form takes lines from other people's work and repositions them into a new piece that's bigger than those parts. So
exactly.
Very nice.
So speaking of centos, I have another one. It's called You Raise the Grass. All lawns shimmer with your bluest energy. In the hushed white sunlight down along the flatland, rich and somber, harrowed and sweetened, urged, increased, the furrow sprouts, a tropic tide of air with ebb and flow, flashing seeds of green. You toss the stars like clover seed, you sling them, like water to the red palm, tender bubbles, stir all day to pretty tunes, the breezes fetch along. The grass is happy to open her scents like a dress, drugging light hearts. Grass rises thick and clean, it shines like the sea, emerald and garnet sowed like seeds in the dirt. The grain turns green, unbidden. I like that one a lot.
Me too.
Yeah, I like it. But I wanted to mention it's Kate Marvin, W.S. Merwin, Willa Cather, Edna St. Vincent Millay, Helen Hunt Jackson, Maurice Manning, Jenny Brown, Emily Dickinson, Ted Hughes, Mary Oliver, and Natalie Diaz. And it ends with Virgil, translated by David Ferry, just the last little line. So wanted to mention that one. And then on the warmth theme, this is a cento in progress. I'm not finished with it yet, but I'm going to go ahead and read it because I find it very warm. It's about friendship and it's not titled yet. Make me laugh over coffee. Wake up filled with possibilities of coffee cake and ripe peaches. Find a room with a window onto elms strung with sunlight, a cafe with polished cups. We have been friends in sunshine and in shade. I walk in, I see you. Level of splendiferous in your outfit, 200. In the sweetness of friendship, let there be laughter in the sharing of pleasures, drawing out into the light all of the beautiful things that no one else had looked quite far enough to find. To me, fair friend, you can never be old. Can I have a refill? Just one more. That's it.
Thank you.
I'm on a cento kick right now, so
I'm loving it. Those and those, the Flarf poems, take from they're not direct quotes from other poets, but from modern stuff that's really great. Before I move back to Doug Hooser, I think about Billy Collins a lot lately. He sent me this this haiku book. And I just when I was in Seattle, I decided to grab one of his books. So I went to Barnes and Noble and I bought this. It's called Water Water, and I have to tell you guys, I'm loving this book. It is really great. So I just wanted to give Billy a little plug. Uh, Go grab it if you if you're without something to read, because it's definitely worth it, and maybe some of the viewers would enjoy that. It's really nice. All right, Doug, want to give it another try?
Yeah, let's go for it again here. I think we got it, right?
Yeah, looks good.
Okay. I'm still on my no one said poems. No one said I would dream of buying a chariot, have to decide on an axle, the wheels, and the whip. Went with tandem duals like a semi, but with chrome spinner wheels like the lowriders use on their vintage 1960s hydraulic lift Chevy Impalas. The whip longer than Indiana Jones's with the crack of August thunder. But the chariot has no draft poles to harness the horsepower, no Pegasus or Budweiser Clydesdales. Was it electric, Elon's latest model? Fresh off the showroom floor, chosen over an all-electric buckboard? Ah, the beauty of a dream, nonsensical as an orchid, roots anchored in bark chips, perlite, and moss, or just the air, not the corn and soybean furrows of black dirt. I haven't watched Ben-Hur in decades, but a 65 millimeter frame must be stuck between neurons in my hippocampus. What other cries and whispers are lurking there? Maybe a clip of that raven-haired Sicilian girl from 1973 who didn't know the motif metaphors of red and white, roses and lilies of an Ingmar Bergman film. And the second one here, someone did say, get your act together. My father and 4 or 5 teachers. Was I supposed to swallow swords, honk the air out of a bulbed horn, crack a whip at a tiger? I did learn to ride a unicycle. Okay, that's not what they meant. They meant I was a screw-up, not realizing my potential. Did they have in mind writing poems? Nah. They wanted me to pump water from the well, fill the trough, not water balloons to launch and splat. Wanted me to sweat from effort, not from getting caught. Well, it took a while. Decades are a measure of time, right? A kaleidoscope of wrong turns and false starts, improvisations and flips of a coin. But here I am, a plump suburban bunny gnawing on the green grass, thankful foxes and coyotes don't frequent the neighborhood. I got here somehow. I admit the path I took wasn't well worn. A lot of dips in the road, some falls, some masticated words, and lessons learned, relearned, and relearned. They are right. Things come in threes. They? Don't ask. All I know is I'm not one of them. And back to a no one said poem. No one said, be just another pebble in the stream, smoothed by the years, hung on the clothesline by work, whipped by imagination's cat of 9 tails. Every day tucks me into routine's nap. I stick to the sidewalk, avoid trails, never wend through the woods, trip on roots, step over fallen branches. I need to peer over the edge, chase the owl's hoot, kick in the locked door that is me, be that hawk that slams from the sky, that haymaker that brawls with boredom, put reticence in the eyedropper, titrate moods, bungle yesterday and leave it in the cellar. Be the hare that finishes second and just hops away. Carefree as a cherry blossom freed from the tree, weaving in the breeze. Leave a note on the door proclaiming, out to lunch, back when my torch is lit. Thank you, everybody.
I wish I could read that well. It's just, you're just delightful. Absolutely. Well, thank you, everybody. That was the June poetry. I hope to see you all back here. Stick around for a few minutes for the prompt. And to all the viewers on YouTube and elsewhere and on our website. We really appreciate you coming to help keep poetry alive. And we'll see you next month.